Yeah, Mr. Ashwin, you have you have done your aerospace engineering. What is space debris?
Sir, most of the artificial satellites that we launch, after its life, maybe after the end of its fuel or when it stops communicating, it is left back in the space. So the space debris is one of the left back or waste materials that is there in the space, mostly created by artificial things.
In our aerospace history, we use it to rely on Russia in the beginning of our space history in the 1970s, like that. After the what we call disintegration of USSR, what was our stand to develop our indigenous space sector?
Sir, in the beginning of the independence, like in the late 1947, or in the beginning of our space technology as such, sir, we did not have the requisite technologies or the expertise. So we have depended upon various countries, not only Russia, we are also dependent on French, US, and also we got UN backing also. Sir, as you rightly pointed out, in the late 1990s, when the disintegration of USSR happened, the space technology or the deals that had happened between India and Russia are on the lower side. Then we started indigenization. But even now, our repair or overhaul techniques are being taken over by Russia only. But various fields, the indigenization had been taken in. One such example is the cryogenic engine, which we have recently been mastered and we are using it in GSLV. But even in the recent human spaceflight also, we are taking help of Russia and French because of their expertise.
Okay, what is exactly cryogenic engine? Can you explain in very for the understanding of any normal human or layman?
Sir, if we see the outer space, most of the outer space is near vacuum, and also temperatures are very low. So in that low temperature, when we want to say start an engine or work an engine, we should have the fuel and the engine that should overhaul at that cryogenic temperature. So we have developed an engine where we are using liquid oxygen and hydrogen, whose melting point or the kickoff point is around minus 237 Kelvin, so near 0 degrees centigrade. So using this, we have created a thrust in those conditions where we can switch on and off various engines and launch various satellites.
Your father is working as a physics teacher, government or private?
Sir is a private teacher, sir.
Okay, private teacher. What about your mother?
Sir, my mother is a housewife, but she also teaches and she runs her own entrepreneurship in home only.
Okay, from home.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. What is exactly the difference between entrepreneurship and startup?
Sir, in a startup, it is more a formal like structure. Like we are having an industry and the formal rules also applicable in the labor rules and everything. But the entrepreneurship is an innovative idea where it is taken by either an individual because of our leadership and the use of varied innovative technologies. When this entrepreneurship is given a proper structure, then it can become a startup.
What is difference between organized sector and unorganized sector and unorganized sector?
Sir, one is the social security benefits that are there. Like if the organization is formally registered under EPFO and most of its members are getting the PF benefits, then it is called as organized sector. And also all the labor rules that are applicable. Like in the Indian Code of Labor Laws, if anything that is greater than 10 employees, when all the labor laws are applicable, then it is mostly an organized sector.
But as you, of course, as you told, the definition of startup and entrepreneur, can we consider startup as an what we call unorganized sector?
Sir, startups are formally registered under Companies Act, but when the members of these companies are also applicable under the labor laws and if they are getting social security, then we can call it as organized sector. So in the startup, there are varied fields of innovation that is happening. So you cannot classify them exactly as organized and unorganized. but they are given a very special kind of treatment for their development because of their nascent stage of their growth engines.
You were with CBSE in, till 10th class.
Yes, sir.
After that, you have shifted to intermediate state syllabus.
Yes, sir.
And after that, you have taken engineering as your graduation.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain CBSE to state engineering through the lens of new educational policy?
I did not get your question exactly. Like, what should I
Okay,
explain?
I'll explain. You know about new educational policy.
Yes, sir. I am aware of it, sir.
Yeah. What exactly the core element or core aim of a new educational policy?
There are the 3-4 aims. One is to improve the enrollment ratio in the higher education. 2 is to develop the research infrastructure in India. 3 is to create a continuum in the education, like the curriculum framework is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. And fourth is also we are focusing on the literacy and numeracy aspects in a mission mode.
Yeah. Yeah. Now my question is, I'm explaining you the third point, as you told, the continuum. Can you apply to your education background?
Sir, in my education it is mostly 10 plus 2. Like until 10th standard I studied in the CBSE, then for the next 2 years I'm in intermediate board. But with the new education policy, maybe I could have studied under 8th standard till CBSE, then in the last 4 years maybe I can come under intermediate education. For the engineering aspect, now I have completed 4 years at Switch. But in the new educational policy, maybe I have to have taken multiple entry exit options, where I have taken some minor education also along with my engineering in the future.
Your hobby is painting landscape, and what is that? Watching sci-fi web series and movies?
Yes, sir.
What is that sci-fi?
Sir, sci-fi means science fiction, where we are trying to make people aware of science in a very fictionalized manner.
Okay. Can you name any book, what we call on scientific fiction?
Sir, one famous book is written by H.G. Wells in the late 1800s, which is called the Time Machine, which had given inspiration for various scientists to create time machine aspect. Then he only in the late 1900s he had also written a book called as The Men in the Moon, which had written about the trajectory for the people to travel to the moon, which is also used in Apollo 13 mission. So these are the two I am aware of.
Super. Really, I appreciate for this answer actually.
Thank you, sir.
What is your one more you have hobby landscape painting. What is the difference between landscape painting and portrait and miniature painting?
Sir, in a landscape painting, we will try to depict the natural or the man-made aspect of the surroundings. It can be in varied forms. It can be in a realistic form, or it can even be in an impressionist form. Sometimes we see a landscape and we'll get impressionized. Sir, in the portraits, we'll mostly depict the human figurines. Like we'll try to represent the human paintings. So in the miniature painting, the scale of painting is very less. Like the landscape, we can there are no restrictions. We can paint it on a wall or even on a canvas. But in miniature, the painting size is very less, and the size related to the each painting and the objects is also proportionate.
Your name is Ashwin, of course. What is the meaning of Ashwin?
Sir, there are two meanings. One, Ashwin is the Hindu calendar month. Like in the October, it is a Hindu month, which is also aspect with goddess Durga. Second is the Ashwins, who are the doctors, who are also twin doctors that are present in our Mahabharata studies, who are very compassionate during the Mahabharata era.
What are their names? Ashwini?
Sir, I am exactly not sure. I'll read upon it, sir. I could not recollect right now.
But they are termed as Ashwini Devatalu.
Yes, sir. Ashwini Devatar.
Okay, you are from Guntur.
Yes, sir.
Um, what is this three capital issue in our state?
Sir, post bifurcation, Andhra Pradesh is one state which does not have a capital city. So So there are various proposals to construct a capital city. From 2014 to 18 onwards, we thought of building a greenfield capital city in Andhra Pradesh, in Amravati. So thereafter, with the change of government, there has been a proposal for a decentralized development, whose main focus is to develop three capital cities: one in Vizag, one in Amravati, and another one is Kurnool. But recently, the uh, High Court had struck down this proposal, and they have set a timeline for development of Amravati as a capital city.
Do you know about tobacco board?
Yes, sir. Tobacco Board is present in Guntur. It is under the Tobacco Act of 1974, whose main mission is to provide alternate livelihood to most of the tobacco consumers by limiting the area under which the crops can be grown and showing them alternate crops that can be developed.
Um, Tobacco consumption is not good for health. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But why government is encouraging tobacco, that too having a board on that? Do you justify it? If I say that it is a double standards of ethics. On one side, the government is saying that tobacco is injurious to health. The other side, tobacco is being what we call sold, distributed among people by the government itself. Is it ethically right?
Sir, as you have mentioned, tobacco consumption is seriously a health issue. This the government had taken very good stand. We have developed a national program for controlling tobacco, which is also appreciated by WHO. Sir, if we see the functioning of the Tobacco Board of India, sir, in one way it is also trying to limit the production of tobacco in varied states. Like it is trying to reduce the acreage of tobacco that is being cultivated, and also the tobacco farmers livelihood is also dependent on the crops itself. Government can't suddenly change its stance, so it is creating a certain pathway where the farmers will get alternate livelihoods and they can control the tobacco. So in my sense it is a balancing stand between the tobacco production and also consumption, not an ethically bad issue, sir.
But instead of that, government might have gradually, for the past 75 years of independent India, government might have gradually controlled or even eradicated the what we call consumption of tobacco on the one side, and at the same time the other side the production of the yielding of tobacco. Why didn't government do that?
Sir, one, tobacco is a very good commercial crop, which brings in huge foreign investment, foreign direct reserves for us also. Like so, we are trying to export tobacco because of its demand in external market, which we are trying to promote it here. So second, as I said, the tobacco board is trying to control the yield on one side, but the sudden transition is not happening. We are trying to find alternate crops. If you see tobacco output, the output is very, like they're getting very hefty outputs, but the alternate crops are not providing exactly this return, sir. So they are trying to build in multiple crop initiatives. Like they are trying to promote paddy and also millet in those fields. So these are certain issues that are ongoing, and it will take time. In the next few years, we can see the results, sir.
But my observation is that if we look at the statistics, government is not at all controlling the production of tobacco. Do you agree with me?
Sir, as per my understanding, in the recent Tobacco Board of India report which I have seen, sir, earlier the acreage or the field under which the tobacco is produced is around 15,000 square kilometers in the Guntur and the surrounding regions. But now it has been limited to around 4,570 square kilometers, which is a very good transition. And they are trying to build up an action plan to bring it down to 2,000 square kilometers in the next 10 years. So we are going in that path, but still work needs to be done in promoting productivity and also finding alternate crops.
Which state is the largest producer of tobacco, and which state is largest consumer consumption of
Uh,
tobacco?
Sir, producer, I think it's Andhra and Karnataka region. like the entire belt. Sir, I'm not sure of the consumption part. I'll read upon it, sir.
You are not.
Yes, sir.
Why government is what we call better to say, I'll put it in a different way. Why governments are not what we call eradication of consumption of this tobacco or even liquor? Why? What is the exact reason behind it? And even you know pretty well, if you are not what we call, we can say that all these what we call vices are being what we call encouraged by the government among the people, whether it is tobacco consumption, whether it is liquor consumption, even gutka, such things. What is the exact reason?
Sir, I feel that government is not encouraging the people to consume anything. Like we are creating awareness among the people due to its side effects. Like we can see huge ads in cinema theaters and also in TVs. Then even on the tobacco consumption, we are giving an infographic presentation like the effects and causes of cancer that it can create. So at the end of the day, every human being is a rational creature. If we can try to reason him and the fault effects of it, then he can change. If we ban outrightly any of these things, then we can see the black market that can rise, and it can causes even more effects on the health of the community and the people.
You are from Pattabhipuram of Guntur.
Yes, sir.
Who is Bogaraj Pattabhi Sitaramaya?
Sir, Pattabhi Sitaramaya is one of the greatest freedom fighter in India, and he's also from Guntur. He had participated during the Satyagraha movement and also in the non-cooperation movement, which he had also promulgated the freedom ideas in the region itself, sir. And we're also having one of the schools named after him in the Pattavipuram, and the Pattavipuram is also one of the founder of the Andhra Bank, which is also recently amalgamated in the Union Bank of India.
What is the motive behind the merger of banks, nationalized banks of central government?
Sir, one is to build up the recapitalization. Like we are having under Mission Indradhanush, there are varied attempts to build in more recapitalization. So if we have better, bigger banks, we can bring in more recapitalization to the banks easily. Second is to control the non-performing assets issue that is there, where the expertise of varied banks can be utilized. Sir, third is to increase the services to the people, like the better practices can be improved with the greater economics of size.
But if there are many number of banks available in the society, then the service will be at the doorsteps of the common man. If we are not having multiplicity of banks, there may be a monopoly. How can we justify on just for the sake of service to the common man, the merger of banks are advisable?
Sir, this is one of the condition. It is not the complete condition for the merger of banks. Sir, if we see the path or the trend in which the banks are moving, it is mostly towards technological solutions. So to create any technological solutions, we should have economies of scale and scope. So to have economies of scale, if we have merger of banks where the technological expertise of various banks can come together, then there can be more innovative products which can be helpful for the people in their service. Sir, even in the branches that are there, most of the branches are even available even after merger. These branches can be accessible to the people.
But I say that the government's hidden intention is, hidden agenda is to privatize the banks. Because of that, it is first merging the banks, and after that, it may go to privatization of nationalized banks. What is your stand on that?
Sir, privatization of banks definitely brings in more competition and also more innovative technologies for the betterment of service of the people. So privatization can be a good step, which if it is helpful for the people at large. Sir, but the path of merger, then privatization, that I am not sure of to follow this path. Maybe they could directly privatize some of the banks if they are performing at a bad poor state. But this path I am not sure of and not aware of it, sir.
What is the main feature of Mughal painting?
Sir, Mughals painted using miniature painting. That was the first time they bought in miniatures, and also they painted various court scenes, creating the human figurines also. And the Akbar and Shah Jahan, they also bought in naturalistic tint, like the outside of the borders, they are using naturalistic colors, like they are using creepers, animals, etc. And fourth important is the arabesque that they are using, like they are also using Urdu in a very calligraphic manner so as to bring in very authenticity to the painting. So these are the four things that I'm aware of.
You know, Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan.
Yes, sir.
What is the recent a controversial issue, whatever it may be, of that 222 rooms should be opened and other things? What exactly that? Please briefly explain it.
Sir, there was a petition by one of the members in the near Taj Mahal to open some 22 doors, which provides the history and understanding of Taj Mahal in the Allahabad High Court. So the Allahabad High Court had given a judgment saying, rather than opening in such manner, you should follow some research where there are research in varied fields. For example, JNU is providing research regarding Taj Mahal, so you can follow that research rather than opening this thing. So this is the brief judgment that is given by Allahabad.
What is the objection for court to direct to just to open the rooms? What is the objection for the court? I'm saying there is no problem now if we open the doors. What is the what it may be, whatever it may be, but it will be opened now. Why?
Sir,
I think court had made some more suspicious environment among people after giving such a direction. What do you say?
Sir, exactly of the quote, I am not sure of. I'll read upon it, sir. Sir, but in my opinion, maybe it is regarding the public order that may be affected if those doors are open and create some animosity between communities. So the court had taken a middle path in that direction.
So we can simply estimate, at least understand that something is fishy behind the closure of the rooms.
I don't think so, sir. Maybe it is true or may not be. It is all speculation that is there. Once we get any evidence, then
Okay.
we can comment upon it.
Okay. What is the role of Indian judiciary to direct both the legislature and executive?
Sir, under Article 13 of our Indian Constitution, there is a power of judicial review, not directly mentioned, but the judiciary can take judicial review of various acts that are passed and execute orders that are there. Under Article 32, they have the writ jurisdiction, where the people can directly go to the court for upholding their fundamental rights. And under Article 142 of the Supreme Court, it can give orders to direct the executive in carrying out certain actions, which is also being used recently for complete justice of the respondent.
Your mother belongs to West Godavari.
Yes, sir.
How many states, or better to say, through how many states the river Godavari is flowing?
Sir, it is flowing through three states. One is
Three.
Maharashtra, two is, yes, sir, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Andhra.
Okay.
And
Are you
maybe in
sure
the
it is three?
bordering of Chhattisgarh also it passes through. I'll read
Then
upon it, sir.
only four. Hmm?
It passes through Chhattisgarh also, I guess, in the bordering region, but I'm not sure. I'll
Then
read
only
upon it.
four. Okay. Okay. Please recheck about that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
What are the main crops of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana?
Sir, we have paddy, which one are the major exporter. Then we are having maize and millets that are also dry land agriculture that we are growing upon. Sir, coming to commercial crops, in Andhra we are having tobacco and chili, and in the northern part of Andhra, coffee is also one commercial crop that is grown. That is what I'm aware of, sir.
What is the difference between food crop and commercial crop?
Sir, food crop that is used mostly for the consumption or the fulfilling of the people's demands. Sir, in the commercial crop, we also see the utility in the industry which it can be used, and also it is mostly money that is involved in it rather than consumption directly. So these are the two things that I'm aware of.
You have completed your graduation in the year 2018.
Yes, sir.
Since 2018 till today, what are you doing?
Sir, for 6 months in 2018 to 19 February, I worked on a research project in the Liquid Propulsion System Center under ISRO that I have already mentioned. Sir, later on, I started preparing for civil service only. In the last 2-3 months, I started teaching at various NGOs after COVID-19 pandemic. So these are the things I am doing.
Then you can go to in the teaching field. Why do you unnecessarily selecting civil services as your career?
So teaching is mostly my hobby, but coming to civil services, it is a passion that I am having since childhood onwards because I have seen the impact that a civil servant can create on a society. For example, in 2012, there is an IAS officer called Suresh who had come to Guntur and had created a change in our community where the developmental aspects have been very much improved upon. And more than that, the diversity that this job also offers is also very interesting for me to pursue the career in civil services.
Okay, do you have reservation?
No, sir.
Okay, do you support reservations on caste based on caste in India today also?
Sir, if we see the caste-based system that is there in India, it is a social reality that the caste has been playing a very key role, and the limitations that the caste has been placed on an individual are also very huge. The opportunities that they are getting is also very huge, like very less. The opportunities due to the caste reservations. So the government should support them in providing caste-based reservations so that everyone should get an equal footing. So on caste-based reservation, I am very much favoring, sir. But the targeting of caste-based reservation is one thing that I am worried upon. If we see the like the profile of the officers or various reservation holders, it is mostly garnered by very small community. Even this is the case for the Rohini Commission, which had been subclassifying the OBC caste, so that the targeting is very important. So for targeting, we should find out various technologies so that the justice is more equitable to all the communities.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. With
Thank you, sir.
this, I think I'm satisfied with the interview. I think you also are having such a confidence.
Thank you, sir.
ఓకే అశ్విన్, నేను మీకు నైట్ ఎప్పుడో ఫోన్ చేసి రివ్యూ చెప్తాను టోటల్గా.
Okay.
ఇప్పటికైతే మాత్రం నేను ఒకటి చెప్పగలను, మీరు ద బెస్ట్ ఆన్సర్స్ ఇస్తున్నారు, బెస్ట్ వే ఆఫ్ కమ్యూనికేషన్ ఉంది. మీ ఆప్షన్ ఏంటి?
Sir, anthropology, sir.
ఖచ్చితంగా మీకు సర్వీస్ వస్తుందండి. యూ
Thank
విల్
you,
బీ
sir.
గెటింగ్ వెరీ గుడ్ ర్యాంక్ ఆల్సో.
Thank you, sir.
నాకు చాలా అమేజింగ్ అండి, మీరు అన్ని ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యారు, బాగా చెబుతున్నది కూడా చాలా స్పష్టంగా చెప్తున్నారు, ఎవిడెన్స్ చెప్తున్నారు. మరి మీకు నాకు తెలిసి మీరు బ్రష్ చేసుకోవడం కూడా ఏం లేవు, బ్రష్ అప్ చేసుకోవడం అన్నీ మీరు చదివారు.
Thank you, sir.
బట్ ఈ 4-5 days ఇంకా ఏమైనా మిగిలిపోయిన ఉంటే ఒకసారి బ్రష్ అప్ చేసుకోండి.
Okay, sir.
నేను నైట్ కొంచెం ఎక్కువసేపు మాట్లాడతాను మీతోటి.
ఓకే సార్. సార్ ఇంకా లాస్ట్ టైం మీరు ఒక ఫోటో పంపించారు కదా సార్, డాక్ మీద క్వశ్చన్స్ చేశాను అని. సార్ ఒకసారి అది కూడా షేర్ చేయగలరా సార్?
మీకు రాలేదు అది?
ఒక ఫోటో, ఒక ఫస్ట్ పేజ్ మాత్రమే ఫోటో వచ్చింది సార్, మిగిలిన పంపించలేదు.
ఓకే, కానీ మీరు వెంటనే అడిగి ఉండాల్సింది. నేను పంపిస్తానమ్మా అది.
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్.
నేను పంపిస్తాను.
ఓకే సార్,
థ్యాంక్ యూ.